Hi, it's Liz Gaines from GigaOm, here today with Susan Wu from Ohai. She's going to tell us and show us a little bit about what they're doing, hoping to transform the game industry by making it both social and engaging and huge and complicated at the same time.
You know, the game industry has traditionally been really complicated. What we're trying to do is simplify it and bring...
But the games themselves are not too simple.
Yeah, the games themselves, I mean, I think what we're basically trying to do is bring massively multiplayer online games to as broad of an audience as possible. So I think you guys have published some reports about how successful Facebook-style games are, with Farmville reaching over 80 million monthly active users, and many other social games quickly gaining steam. But we quickly forget that a couple of years ago, all of the news was about World of Warcraft and about how their 12 million or so users were generating $1 billion of cash a year. And what we're doing is finding a new efficient frontier for game development. So we are bringing the depth and engagement of massively multiplayer online games to the broad audience of Facebook users and every other casual gamer out there. And so traditionally, MMOs have been quite complicated games, but a lot of our game design and development is about how to make them as accessible as a Farmville-style game to get into, but still have months and months of deep engagement afterwards.
So I think you wanted to set up for the context of this interview to show us just how fast you can develop. So why don't you kick us off on that thread?
Yeah, so I brought with me one of our content designers, Phil, over here, who during the course of this interview is going to build an actual map of the GigaOm office, and we're going to fill it with zombies that are going to be attacking Liz and Ohm, and you're going to, as a player, have to save Liz and Ohm from zombies. And so Phil is going to start working on the map now.
Who is saving us? Who are we trusting with our lives?
The intrepid player. So every possible...
Which is Phil?
It could be it could be you. You could be saving yourself in the game.
So you're setting up a new environment for people to play the game in.
Yeah, so back here behind us, we have the first game that we've built, which is called City of Eternals. It's a vampire-themed game. This is completely Flash-based and integrated with your social graph. But what you see behind me is the downtown area of the world. And what Phil is going to do is build a map similar to this, but it's going to look and feel like the GigaOm offices. And at the end of this interview, you can see what he's been able to build and walk through this area and play it and kill the zombies and save Liz and Ohm.
So what is the significance of that?
The significance of that is traditionally a large-scale MMO like a World of Warcraft took 3 to 5 years to build, requiring over 100 production staff to build. So the production budgets on these games were $30 to $50 million at a minimum. We've been able to build this game with 3 core engineers over 9 months. And the second game that we recently put into production, we are building in 3 months with also a handful of engineers. And the significance is that the MMO industry and the game industry as a whole has been relatively stagnant because of the large budgets. So imagine this. How many risks can you take if your budget is $50 million?
And not every game is a hit.
Right, exactly. So that makes the industry overall fairly conservative. And as you've seen from what EA has been gravitating towards, they've been gravitating towards licensed IP rather than a lot of original content development, et cetera, and so forth.
Right, so like a takeoff of a movie.
Right, or Madden, or Tiger Woods Golf, for example, which is good. I think that there's a lot of room for branded IP projects, but what we want to bring back to the industry is sort of the best of both worlds. We want to bring to a broad audience of hundreds of millions of users, of players, really deeply engaging games that we can iterate on very, very quickly without necessarily having to be confined by the conservativeness and the risk mitigation that happens with a $50 million type of industry structure.
So is it just the development, though, that makes big companies strong and able to continue to maintain their market position? I mean, how does a small company like your own take them on?
Well, I think what you're also asking, sort of embedded in that, is like, what does it really take to bring MMOs to the mass market audience? Like, part of it is, being able to iterate really quickly, being able to do it cost efficiently.
Right, but is it part of it being able to buy television commercials, or what?
No, absolutely not. Right? I mean, I haven't yet seen a Farmville commercial, although I wouldn't be surprised if
they have 3 billboards now.
They have billboards, yeah.
I think those are for recruiting.
I'm waiting for the Super Bowl commercials for Farmville.
Right.
No, but I think what the social gaming industry has shown is that you can grow audiences very quickly by tapping into one of the core game design principles, which is people like to interact with their friends. People like to play with their friends. And we've built that directly into the MMO, meaning traditionally these kinds of games have been walled gardens. For example, when you play a game like World of Warcraft, you go to the retail store or you download a giant client, many multiple gigs of client data, you patch it, you spend maybe 5 or 10 hours patching it, then you sort of have to figure out how to create a character. And then after all of that time, you might be able to find your friend after coordinating with them on the telephone about where they are in game and how you might be able to find your way there. So the whole process of finding your friend in a game like World of Warcraft might take 24 hours from start to finish. What we're doing is building games that make it really easy for you to find your friends. So if you notice, like here's my Facebook profile photo. If I mouse over another character, you can see their photo, although she's moving around.
And those are their real names?
And these are their real names and their real photos. And we're basically inheriting as much information as we possibly can about the players. And for example, it knows that I'm female, so it made me a female avatar, et cetera, et cetera. And typically with traditional MMOs, you have guilds that you find. You find other players in game and you form guilds with them so that you can go on missions with them. What we've done is turn your social graph into your guild. And so these are my real life friends. And I can send them on tasks and make them different kinds of roles in the game. And they're basically my guild. So my social graph.
Do you think that the reason that games have been built in that more anonymous way is serving a need, or it's just because of the limitations of the environment? I mean, maybe people want to be anonymous and have a male avatar when their Facebook profiles says they're female.
It definitely serves a need, right? I mean, I think games and environments in virtual worlds like Second Life and so on and so forth have found that people really like to do identity exploration. But I think that it's really a key part of bringing a game to a true mass market audience, hundreds of millions of users, to be aware of the cognitive barriers that exist about playing games in general. Most people do not want to assume virtual identities. Most people don't want to really role play that much. And so what we're doing is trying to create game environments that allow you to be yourself, but a more heroic or adventurous part of yourself. Sometimes
and
more
I imagine
fashionable.
That's a pretty, that being able to tap into that type of marketing may end up being quite effective.
Yeah.
How has it been, how's it done so far?
It's been really good. So the feature that I showed you, this guild feature, where you can assign your friends to be part of your actual guild, our average player is assigning 12 and a half or 12 to 13 of their friends to these kinds of roles, which is pretty exciting. It shows that people do care quite a bit about bringing their real life friends into environments like this. I mean, that's been proven out by the social gaming industry.
Yeah.
Definitely, obviously, right?
Yeah.
People play with
But
their
what
friends.
about for City of Eternals?
So we've had a lot. Here you see someone fighting a gang of vampires in the game, but we've had a lot of success in that for sure. For example, your average person in the game is adding, as I mentioned, 12 to 13 of their friends to their guild on an active basis, and some people have added 200 or 300 people to their guild, and these are non-playing people. So I could add you right now, and you wouldn't even have to be a player, but you're still contributing to my gameplay experience. So we're applying some of the great game design principles that have been pioneered in social gaming and bringing them to deeper game experiences like MMOs. Do
you think that, where are you in terms of being ahead of the curve or in line with the industry?
I think we're definitely ahead of the curve. I think one of the, it's GDC week this week, and one of the major themes that we're going to see coming out of GDC is a move towards openness, people sharing their data streams, people sharing their APIs, great companies like Unity 3D and OpenFaint opening up their platforms for third-party developers. The entire principle behind what we're building is to blur the lines between the web and games, meaning we want to make games as easy to build as it is to produce and launch and iterate and A/B test a website. And we also want to make the data and the boundaries between your real-life identity and your game worlds as blurry as possible. And so all of the technology that we spent the last year and a half building has been supporting that. So every single point in the game is a specific URL. So I could share this link with my friend. I can, every single activity in the game can be expressed as an RSS feed. So we can send that out to iPhone clients and actually interact with gameplay behaviors with mobile devices. So a lot of what you're seeing now around the market is around cross-platform development. You know, what we built was always intended to be cross-platform from the beginning. So how this benefits the user is actually in multiple ways, right? Again, we talked about how people want to be their real-life identity, people want to play with their friends in structured environments, but also with traditional games, you basically are in this 3 to 5 year launch process, and it launches and then it's sort of done. And occasionally they release expansion packs every 6 months or every year.
But you're doing ongoing development and releases.
But those games are really static, and we're basically pushing new releases, new features, new areas, looking at metrics around, you know, whether or not people are converting to different kinds of goals in the game on an ongoing basis, and iterating the game on a weekly basis. And so the technology was always built to be very similar.
Those vampires are not doing very well.
Yeah, these vampires are getting jacked by the players.
So on that note, should we check back and see how
let's see how Phil is doing.
doing?
So this is the map that Phil started with at the beginning of our interview. This is our editor. So one of the principles of building games really quickly is that we have to create tool sets that make it really easy for non-technical people to create content and be able to push it out on an ongoing basis. So he started creating the GigaOm offices. For those of you who haven't seen the offices, Liz, do you think this is a fairly accurate representation of the style of your office? It's kind of loft-like.
Yes.
And so he started building this, and you can see while we're watching him doing this that it's not taking him too much time to construct the set and to.
So who is Phil in terms of? Is he a player of your game? Is he a developer of your company?
He's one of our content designers, and he's also an art student.
And who is he embodying right now? What are you demonstrating? Is it a capability of your company to expand your game, or of users to expand your game?
Both. We're demonstrating the capability of our company, of non-technical people within our company, being able to quickly put together areas, new missions on a daily basis, as well as developers who might want to use our platform to also build their own web-based MMOs. So this is what he's been working on for the last 10 or 15 minutes while we've been talking.
Okay.
Why don't we show?
Are we going?
Yeah, we're going.
I feel like we're on a cooking show. Can you show? Take one out of the oven.
Yeah, let's see what he actually came up with while we were talking. So this is what he came up with.
Oh, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
This is the GigaOm office.
This is the GigaOm office, and he created 2 characters.
We have a dog.
You have a dog?
I don't think we're allowed to bring in dogs.
The dog's name is Crash, and that's Liz and Om. We can change your clothing. Do you not like your outfit? If you don't like your outfit, we can change that.
No, that's a great outfit.
And then we added some zombies in the office, because no good Soma office is complete without zombies. And the zombies have their own behaviors that he's sort of modifying. And then we're going to show you what it looks like to walk through the area and to play it. All right, cool. So we have now shown you what the GigaOm offices look like in our own game and editor. As you can see, you can walk around and talk to Liz or Om, see what they have to say. What does it say, Liz?
It says, "Can you kill these zombies for us? I'll stream the live video on new TV. It'll totally go viral."
And what does say?
More bloody PR zombies. I should have known they'd show up when @NeedBrain started following me on Twitter.
And also we have, I guess
Liz
has
has some Michael Jackson hair on today. And my dog Crash says, "Fight off these zombies. That's against my behavior school training."
So let's go fight off these zombies, since Crash doesn't seem to want to, since he's too well behaved.